You know, overall it actually is not too bad in here. Quick interruption, this is a run from the release version of the game. I am working on new runs for the channel which are coming soon, but until then, hopefully you enjoy this one. Let's get back into it. After running around Mornstead with a broken sword, Skelly is taking a well-deserved rest, so this time we take a different route, one with a bit more damage, and we follow the journey of Bjorn the Warwolf as he conquers Mornstead, giving you tips along the way. Now to conquer this land we will be needing a tool, and what better tool than a Grand Bonk, because combining a rock and a stick gives you a very effective piece of warfare, a crude but effective bonk. And it just so happens that you can find such an exceptional weapon right at the beginning of the game. There's just one problem. Also, let's chuck up a counter for how many times I say bonk in this video. A Grand Bonk doesn't need you to be smart, it needs you to pick it up. So 28 strength is needed, and the nearest we can get to that from the starting classes is the Warwolf with 16. So that means we are looting and selling everything we can find and utilizing our dope drop kicks and pimp hand slaps until then. So unfortunately for Hermione Granger, she's going to feel the wrath of the back of our hand. Why do I call her Hermione Granger? Check out my broken sword vid if you want to know, but as always, no issues here from the claymation. We unlock the hub and move along. Now while we are busy upholding the ancient Warwolf raiding traditions, we also need to go get our weapon, and like I said, it can be found in the beginning of the game, right in the hub area of Skyrest Bridge. So we make our way over there and pick it up and keep it stored in our prison pouch, because where the hell else are we putting all this stuff? This question needs to be answered, not just here, but in every Souls-like. But with it in our possession, we now just need the strength to use such a unit of a weapon, because nothing will stop us from achieving our goals. So with blind rage and no regard for property rights, raiding the entire first area that's available to us without going through another boss, we finally reach our goal of 28 strength, allowing us to finally equip our Grand Bonk. First up to feel the mighty weight of the bonk, the good old Scourge Sister herself. Starting off the fight in the most Unga Bunga way possible, we die. Also, very clever putting that exploding thing there, developers. But once we have recovered from our initial charge, we stunlock her because, I mean, come on, we have an absolutely massive bonk. I am currently talking about the hammer, but with the capabilities of said bonk properly field tested, we move on. Now our weapon is already far more capable than these enemies can handle, but we need upgrades, people, so we make our way over to the Smith of the Fatherland, shout out to Germany, make it into another universe, and free her from her jail cell and lifetime torture of crafting bells. That's what you get for enslaving Sparky, you bitch. But we do need a free smith, and now she can work on true pieces of art. Now so far it may seem like this will be an easy run, and this weapon does output a lot of damage, but its downside is the fact that it's slower than me getting out of the bed in the morning, uses more stamina than a crackhead at a rave, and with our charge first think later approach, it'll take some time to truly understand its mysterious ways. It may just look like a rock on a stick, but there really is more to it. Not just the fact that it sets things on fire as well, which it does do, so we technically have a grand magical bonk. Setting our sights on the first beacon, it's located in the swamp, and to get there we need to go through two bosses, the Kennel Club, aka the G-Sister, and the Heap of Accumulated Flesh. For the Kennel Club, it's the usual strat of running around like a madman, and then going in for the occasional bonk until she's dead. For the Accumulated Flesh, it's praying that the camera has mercy on us today, and then just bonking whenever we can see 2 centimeters in front of us. Both pose no challenge for our Grand Bonk, and thus every gamer's favorite area is open to us, the swamp. And on a side note, if those bosses give you any trouble, they're weak to fire, so utilize that, it'll definitely help you out. The beacon is of course guarded by He Who Does Not Speak, aka Silent Gyoba Masataka Oniwa, but before we go and say hello, we pick up a few choice upgrades along the way, improving our absolute unit even more. But arriving at our objective, we face off against Saint, and as is becoming commonplace in this run, we immediately die. Hello Umbralland, but anyway, Saint is pretty telegraphed and he does not like fire at all, so we have the perfect rock solution to deal with him in no time. And with Saint out of the way, resting in peace, trading stories with Gyobu, we stroll up to the beacon and our good moth buddies do their thing. They're always so grateful when we bring them to light, they truly keep their life simple. Now the next couple of bosses are not weak to fire, but they are weak to a big rock. So up steps the Ruiner. Now the Ruiner of course likes to think he has an advantage on the bridge, but he is mistaken. We lure him away from his little buff machine and swiftly deal with him so we can make our way through the rest of the Gorge of Roy Boy, eventually finding ourselves inside the warm city of Kalrath and its indestructible wood. But before we can truly enter into it, we do need to deal with Sauron's #1 fan. Dealing with her parasitic protectors, we go on to display the true might and complex nature of Grand Bonks. Truly a sight to behold. Making our way uptown, we work through the city saying hello to Justin along the way, giving him some berries, because we only uphold a strict diet of meat and Pietar's holy blood.
I'm Pietar.
Finally reaching the top, we interrupt the progeny and their dolls because clearly they thought what better way than to strike fear into the heart of their enemies than playing dolls with the corpses of their neighbors. I can't really fault them there, it is pretty messed up, unless you really hate your neighbors, in which case, okay. This fight took a bit longer than I thought just because of how slow our Grand Bonk is, but with enough bonks, the progeny eventually falls over, ending their brutal game of dolls from ever disturbing the people of Calrath again, assuming there's any left. But with our path unblocked, we can make our way into the depths of Mondstadt, where as always, a bunch of goodies await us. What goodies? Upgrade goodies for both our bonk and our heals, because we can't forget about our saintly quintessence. But to get so low under Mondstadt, we must defeat the Skin Lover, for besides skin, they also love controlling the drainage system. Quite the variety of hobbies. Dodging left and doing twirly bonks sorted this boss out, and thus we can collect the key to drain the area. Just don't look down, it may be worse here than the Doll Dude's arena, but not wanting to create a pros and con list comparing the two, we move along and enter the Revelation depths to collect our upgrade materials. Having sufficiently collected enough sharp rocks to upgrade our unit and some saintly quintessence for Pietar to do her thing, we leave the depths to get some fresh air in Upper Calrath. Now the air may not be exactly fresh up here, but hey, at least it's something. A bit of smoke won't hurt Beyond at all. No bosses currently reside in this area, so clearly this beacon has far less importance than the other beacons, and that's quite a logical reasoning to assume we let our moths do their thing and head for the Land of Cold. And if you believe in Bjorn and his journey, then consider supporting him and subscribing. Now, Bjorn has heard tales of this cold land before, and said to lie somewhere within it is a set of armor that is fitting to a wielder of Grand Bonks, so we must have it, and we'll sort out the beacon as well, I suppose. But getting access to this area is blocked by Folard, who we can respect, for they too wield a mighty weapon, but it's nothing compared to ours. We quickly dispatch the doggo, as now there is only one, the other two clearly buggered off, deal with Folard, and make our way into the Fife. Making our way through the Fife, we meticulously search the areas for the armor set, and eventually we do find it. Cue the fashion sequence. With our Grand Bonk in our hands and the legendary armor set equipped, we truly feel that we can achieve anything, and we rush in to deal with the bird who sits there with way more enthusiasm than usual. We still hate this boss, but Bjorn does have some tips for you. For the first phase, forget about the floaty bitch, deal with the doggos first. The second phase, deal with the range shooters first. And the third phase, deal with the big dude first. The rest of the ads are very slow, and the bird and floaty bitch don't actually attack you, so it's more about ad management in this fight. Once the problematic ads are dealt with, then do your soul flame, which will be a much more calm experience than trying to deal with the floaty while those particular ads are still up. We move on having defeated the boss, and once again let our moths do their thing. We must ascend to greater heights now to deal with the remaining challenges, and standing in our way is the Bellboy. We can appreciate that they too wield a mighty weapon, but once again it falls short of ours. Swiftly dispatching Bellboy, we move along the path, taking the elevator up to Hallowed Land. Now this part of our journey acts as a crossroads, as there are no beacons to cleanse here, but it does give us our pathways to where we need to go, and unlike other crossroads, we'll be taking both directions here. So up first we have the Tower of Fred's People, and immediately blocking our pathway here is the dude who always gets locked outside because he hasn't showered in a century. Sinisho tries to use this to his advantage, but we're having none of that, and we quickly dispatch him, and then dispatch him once again because he doesn't know when to just stay down. Inside we go. First we go up, then all the way down again, because lurking in the dark shadows of such a tower is the wannabe Professor Quirrell, locked away in the basement practicing their arts and craft career after a failed one at Hogwarts. Tancred poses not too many issues, it's his unsettling brother that is more of a random concern, but with enough bonks, even the weirdest shall fall. Having looted the key from their corpse, we make our way back up the tower, and of course it's time for the moths to do their thing. Heading back to the crossroads, we now take the other path leading up to Jesus Land, and blocking our way here is the Beamer bitch. Teleportation, obnoxious ranged beams, healing aura. Ursula can go f*** herself, but with enough tenacity and the singular purpose of charging and bonking, we eventually deal with the issue at hand and make our way into the Abbey. Just as messed up as Broland, it's filled with a bunch of crazy women this time, but we steadily make our way through the Abbey. As always, we check in on Fred the Flagellator. He's still dealing with some issues, but who wouldn't have issues in such a place? Coming across a glowy rock, it is too much for our radiant instinct to not touch, and thus ensues the rapturous fight. But we have a good friend, another who follows the pathway of Grand Bonks, and together we show the Huntress the absolute deadliness that dual bonks can bestow upon someone. An entertaining, calming, euphoric experience. We continue on our way. Entering the heart of the crazy, we must deal with more beamer bitches, but eventually drop off a cliff to have a word with the manager in charge. Looking deceptively good, we begin to enforce and inform her of her failures via our teaching instrument. With enough bonks, she reveals her true nature, and she's looking a little worse for wear. But nothing that we can't solve, because if one bonk doesn't work, bonk again. With her out the way, pondering upon her failures and trying to catch her breath through absolutely crushed lungs, we let the moths have their turn at the fun, and the beacon is cleansed. But what's that? Another appears. With another beacon magically appearing above the castle in the distance, we must make our way all the way back down the mountain, because unfortunately, Uber does not operate in this area. Arriving back in Kalrath, we are once again attacked by the Light Reaper, who in their persistence has finally done enough to annoy us, and now they are about to feel the true wrath of a massive rock. Dealing with them and their wannabe Nazgul for the last time, we make our way to the castle only to be interrupted by our good buddy, the Iron Wayfarer. A fellow warrior on the pathway, we are saddened by what is about to happen, but at least this will be a true bonk battle to be spoken about down the ages. Having put up a good fight, we are victorious as expected and finally can enter the castle itself, happy that we have a moment of peace, but that does not last, cause now Damaros has a problem with us, and at this point we've had enough of these wannabe warriors with their useless spells and ranged shenanigans, so we teach her the true meaning of bonk. With no more bosses for the moment, we make our way through a very hot and anger-filled castle, eventually finding our way up the stairs to the throne room. We step into the arena expecting a grand battle, but are met by a depressed king in the corner. We quickly resolve this by bonking them a bit, which really gets them mad, at which point they break their wife's statue, which I can't imagine helped their mental state, and they attack us. Having found a new vigor and rage, the king finally puts up a fight, but as always, you cannot hope to stand against our grand bonk. It's just not possible. With enough bonks, the king falls, the queen's head crumbles, and the dynasty comes to an end. Well, soon after anyway, once the actual queen phases out of existence into a cloud of moths. So I guess another win for the moths. Now last and least, we have a deer. Not a doe, a deer. The final boss that we must conquer, and then we shall achieve our sole purpose. Entering into the Rogar realm, we are met with an absolute mess and stench. We can easily understand why Mondstadt got rid of this dude the first time. Chilling at the back and getting his mob to do his fighting for him, while he monologues on some tangent, we deal with the ranged cowards, with efficient placed bonks, and then gloriously watch the moths do the biggest suck that they have ever done and consume a useless guard. Having achieved our purpose, we finally ascend to the pinnacle heights of mastering the Grand Bonk, satisfied.